Alright everybody, so if you have not seen my spoiler-free review, if you want to check it out, I'll have a link in the description for that, because I'm definitely going to talk about everything that I really want to talk about in this movie, because they do a lot of interesting stuff. And if you checked out my spoiler-free review, I talked about like the big twists in this movie. And I thought all the twists were actually pretty good. I thought they were definitely cool twists. But the one that I hated the most is the fact that they killed off the Damien clone so early in the film. It was like, alright, we have Talia's revealed as our like main villain. She's come back from the very first movie where she chose to give Damien up, but she's come back and she wants basically to mind control Bruce and Damien and have them, as a part of her family, because she wants to have, full control with the League of Assassins. So that was a huge twist. I didn't expect that to be the case where Talia came back into it. And I thought they were going to kind of do a Red Hood thing a little bit, kind of like something else. Um, but they didn't. And I was like, okay, because he said Bruce's name at some point, and I think it was before they did the reveal, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he says, I know you intimately, but not at all. So I'm like, I can only guess that there's one character. I would assume that it's going to be Jason Todd, but then it turns out to be Damien's adult clone, and I was like, that's actually really cool. And he's super strong and stuff, and they do the genetic modifications and everything. And then Talia is mad at him and is like, I told you not to bring him here. And then she killed him. And I was like, that was a great twist because it was pretty cool. But at the same time, I was like, I felt like he really should have been a main villain. Like, I felt we should have had someone who could really take on these characters. Because honestly, the other people couldn't do anything against, the rest of the team. Like, we have Nightwing, we have Dick Grayson going out as Batman. He was taking people down. And there was the fight scene, and this was during the stuff when they got to the vault at Wayne Tech. That was a great fight, and I love that because Dick Grayson is a great substitute for Bruce. He's not Bruce, of course, but he's number two, like, and that's all there is to it. Dick Grayson is number two, and you need someone tough to be able to take him down. And they had that character in the Damien clone. Plus, he had like his own like henchwoman, and she was really cool and very mysterious. I felt like she was slightly underutilized as well. I figured she wouldn't have a big role from the very beginning because she didn't even speak. So I was like, I know she's just going to be like the background character who just fights. So I knew that was going to be the case to begin with, honestly. But I felt like them killing off the clone was just way too quick because it wasn't even. I don't think it was even the middle of the movie when they did that. It was probably within. No, I guess it was technically, yeah, it was probably the middle of the film, but we have that one fight scene. So we have the very beginning fight scene with Bruce and Batgirl, and he kind of takes them both down, and, he was like destroying Batgirl. He was just like slamming her on the ground and stuff. And then we have the scene where they team up to take on Dick, and then Damien's fighting Tusk and all that. And I was like, this is actually really cool because it's difficult for them. Even if it was, the Damien clone by himself, I feel like that would have been difficult for Dick to, take on. And the fact that they killed him off, I was like, that, it was a great twist that they did. And like I said, it's hard to deny. Like, I can't deny the fact that it was a good twist because I certainly didn't think she'd actually kill the clone. But she did. And she takes the clone down, and it's just like, that's it. Like, I told you not to bring him here. And then she kills the clone off. And I was like, that's a pretty cool twist. Like, I did not see that coming either because we get the reveal that, we get the clone reveal. We had the Talia reveal earlier in the film. And then she's super pissed and she slaps him in the face and then just shoots him. And I was just like, wow, that great twist. But now this awesome character, at least someone I felt would have been like a really epic villain for this film, is done. And I don't know, maybe if he could have found out that, you know, Nightwing was actually Dick, or, if he took off the mask, because of course it's not Bruce, that would have been cool. Because he didn't have the memories, and I don't know if that really would have mattered, or anything like that, but I don't know, I feel like that would have been cool if he was still kind of young Damien, and, somewhat mentally, and he was like, you don't deserve to wear that, I should wear it because I'm technically Bruce Wayne's son, in this weird sense, but they killed him off really early. And I was like, oh, that really sucks because he had like a very menacing demeanor. He had like a cool, like the metal bat face, and he's just like this crazy ripped dude with like you could see the veins and stuff. And they used him in 2 fights, and that was it. And he just got like killed off in the middle. Like even if he died during like the third big fight scene when they're at the castle and everything, I would have been fine with that if he just legitimately died because they had the one dude who's like hopping around all over the place, and I liked his fight scenes because he was just kicking and flipping like crazy, and then he just got crushed by a platform. If he died that way, or in the explosion, or he was almost escaping, and maybe Damien killed him off, even though he's a clone or something, he knew that it just had to be done or something like that. I would have been okay with it, but I felt like he was so underutilized because he was taken out like halfway through the film. I was like, he could have been such a great foil for Dick throughout the entire thing. They could have been like the two rivals, and everyone kind of gets their own enemy because we had enough characters. We had, Talia kind of stayed out of it. She didn't really fight herself, but we had Firefly who was taking on Batwing. We had um, the silent female character. She was taking on Batgirl, and we had Tusk for Damien. And then Nightwing didn't really have anybody. He just had like random people, and he ended up fighting Talia, or no, he ended up fighting Bruce towards the end of the episode or end of the movie. I know I said episode, but I felt like it would have been a great foil if they had that during that third fight scene because I mean, they did have to fight a bunch of ninjas, as Dick put it, which I thought was funny. That made me laugh because it was such a stupid joke. It actually made me laugh, but I felt like they definitely took him out a little too soon in the movie. Even though I loved all the fight scenes, I just felt like it would have been it would have been a lot more tension, honestly, because let's be honest, they were fighting a bunch of ninjas and stuff. I knew they'd beat them all. I was not expecting anybody to lose in any way, shape, or form. They were just going to beat him, and that was it. And then, if they had him in there, I would have been a little worried. Like, if he decides to go all out, he's actually, like, super strong. Him getting a punch is very different than one of the ninjas getting a punch in. And I feel like there would have been way more tension that he could have actually taken someone down, especially if it was like Batwing, because I don't know. I'd never even heard of that character. I didn't know he existed. I knew, of course, Batgirl, but I don't know. I just felt like there could have been a lot more tension if he was still alive, because I didn't think any of the other sub villains that were called by name like one time, I didn't think any of them were actually going to be doing any true damage. So I'm a little upset that they did that, but I certainly enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, even though I spent this whole video so far ranting about how I wish he was still in it. I still really enjoyed the movie. Of course, there are a couple of huge things that they did. First off, this isn't that big of a deal, but they killed off Mad Hatter, like his head literally explodes. It was cool to see him in a movie, and I figured it was him when he first showed up. But, them killing him, not that big of a deal, because I wouldn't expect them to do, one of those types of movies where, from the comics where it was his storyline. But, they killed him off. One of the huge things is that they killed Talia al Ghul. And I mentioned this, or no, I didn't mention this. This is a totally different thing. But despite the fact that they show her dying, we don't know if she's dead. We don't see a body. We see an explosion happen, and we can assume that she was killed, but we never really know. It's the League of Assassins, and if she is gone, then the League of Assassins either disbands or it just gets a random new leader. And I don't know how that stuff works. I know it's just typically it's official heirs and stuff like that, but with her just having randomly died off, who knows what's happening? And we didn't even see the League of Assassins in this movie, which is actually interesting. And I guess technically we did with the nuns and stuff like that. But you'd have thought with all the brainwashing things that they were going to be doing, they would have just had a bunch of League of Assassin members infiltrate the summit and all that stuff. And they definitely don't do any of that because they could have. They could have had Bruce Wayne because they had him under mind control. Be like, all right, this is the security company that we're doing or whatever. There's a lot of legal stuff that goes on there, so someone else would, of course, actually have done all that paperwork. But I'm sure they have resources like that where they can fake paperwork and Bruce says, I trust this company, and then it's all just League of Assassin members in disguise. But, it's kind of interesting. We didn't really see the League of Assassins too much in the movie, and they were all just dressed as nuns when we got to see them. They weren't, like, in their normal, sort of ninja-style outfits. But if she's dead, that really changes a huge thing with the League of Assassins. It's not in this universe anymore, or it has a brand new leader. And they could do Nissa, which would be very cool because Nissa, at this point, Nissa has only been in like two things outside of comics, and she's like the main thing in Arrow, which is actually very cool because they didn't do Talia al Ghul, they did Nissa, and she does make an appearance in the latest Batman game. She has an appearance in there, and they actually talk about her. But I don't know, they could definitely do that, and I think that would be cool to see what they do with this newer character and where she takes the League of Assassins if she wants to avenge her family or something like that, and then how she would interact with Bruce and Damian because that's her nephew. How would all that play out going up against them, and how would she feel from the family aspect? Because Talia pulled like a total 180, which I didn't expect. Her being the villain blew my mind because she chose to let Bruce go, and then it's like, why is she the main villain trying to kill Bruce now all of a sudden? And it was because she kind of, and that always has been her thing, where she's always been madly in love with Bruce, despite the fact that he's always been the hero. And I think this is probably one of the furthest steps. This is definitely the furthest step I've ever seen for Talia, where she was just like, screw it. You won't be with me by choice. I'm just going to effing brainwash you and force you to be with me. So that was actually kind of cool because I was like, I've never seen her go that far, with her love. It became like crazy psychotic love where it was like, I'm going to force you to love me through brainwashing. So I actually thought that was pretty sweet the way that they did that. Um, I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, like New 52 Supergirl, Batgirl. That was really cool. Didn't know anything about her. Getting to see her backstory was fun. And then when they had the ending scene, they totally blew my mind because here comes original Batgirl and here's Barbara Gordon. Because I figured they're doing New 52 Batgirl, and I'm sure Gordon has been in the films before. I'm sure he was in like at least the first movie if he wasn't in the last one. But them bringing in, the old school Batgirl just totally surprised me. Like, they have the awesome scene and everyone's jumping off the building and stuff. I was like, of course they have to do the epic scene where everyone jumps off. And then it's like, out of the shadows, here comes Barbara Gordon Batgirl. So I'm assuming she's younger in this. And she looked like she was an adult, though. She looked like she was the same height as the other Batgirl. And I don't know if they're going to do it where she changes names, because I don't know if that's how it is in the comics, if she's changed names or anything. But I did like the outfit. I'd seen that outfit maybe once or twice before, and I do believe that's her possibly current comic outfit. I don't know, what's going on right now. But I certainly love that, because I do remember seeing that like once or twice before, and I was like, that looks really cool, because it looks kind of like a bulletproof vest, and I guess it is technically, and it's got like the little brown shoulder pads where the cape comes off. And I always thought it oddly works, because it's like the little brown pads, and then it's like the purple, it's like, I don't know why that works so well to me, but I always kind of loved that costume, so it was great to see that costume animated for the first time, but it was also just great to see her thrown in there at the end, so I don't know if she's going to show up in the Justice League versus Teen Titans movie since they introduced her, but I don't think they will because they're going to focus on Teen Titans. So I don't think Batwing or Nightwing or Batgirl are going to show up in that at all. But we will have Damian. Actually, no, Nightwing does show up. He's in the trailer. So Nightwing is in there for sure. And I guess you kind of have to have that because it's Teen Titans. You have to at least have Dick Grayson in there in some aspect. But we have Damian as a part of the team. So I don't know if Batwing and a new Batgirl are going to show up in the Teen Titans versus Justice League movie. But now we kind of have both Batgirls, which is really cool. So whenever they get back to solo Batman New 52 animated movies, I think we'll get to see Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. We might get to see like a cool Batgirl-centric film or something like that. I think that would be really cool. We get like a Batgirl team-up type movie. That would be really fun to watch. But I like that ending scene. It was very cool, and then it was a nice little surprise. Like, oh crap, just out of the shadows, here comes Barbara Gordon. So that was really fun. But I love this movie. I thought it was really fun. Damian and Dick and their conversations, how they just have their banter. I really like that. I like that they deal with each other, but they don't exactly get along. And Damien thinks he knows what's right, and it's like in one scene it was really funny, like when he was talking to Alfred, he's like, I don't have a concussion. And Alfred was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a medical degree and stuff. I loved that scene because it was really funny. And Alfred was awesome in this. He had like a full-on fight scene, and he's just like destroyed that guy, who's actually the calculator, who was one of the villains that recently showed up in Arrow. I didn't realize that was him until they were going through the credits, because I don't remember them calling him the Calculator at all through the movie. But that's who he was, so that kind of surprised me when I saw that. But that was a great scene. Like, he punched him. Also, that was another thing. They killed basically every villain in this entire movie by accident. The only two people that really died on purpose were Damien's clone and Talia. And so the girl that killed her died just in the action, so seemingly on purpose. I guess you could count the three of them. But Tusk died, falling through like the fan and stuff, which is a great moment for Damien, because he was like, "No, I'm not gonna, no, no kill." It was, I forgot the line, but it was the line he was told in the very first movie, Son of Batman. So I love to hear that, because that was a great scene where it showed like he's growing up as someone who should and could potentially be Batman, because he's not gonna kill anymore. But he's pulling it up, and me and my girlfriend both watching it, and she's like, "BS! Like there's no way he has that much strength." And then I'm like, "He's pulling it super fast. It wasn't like he was even struggling anymore." I'm like, "He's not gonna be there," and it's just cut. And I was like, "So he's dead." The Calculator, I'm assuming, died. He got electrocuted, and it was like in his eye, and it exploded. So I'm assuming he died from that. Clearly, Mad Hatter is dead, because his head exploded, so he's gone. And like I said, we had the Damien clone killed. Talia got killed by the woman, and then the woman, seemingly, they both died at least. She died as well during the ship, because it just blew up for whatever reason. I didn't understand why it had to explode. I thought it would have just crashed, but it like blew up. I don't think it even hit the water. I think it just actually blew up in midair. But I was like, all the villains died at random. Firefly, the thing blew up, and of course he just flew straight into the vent and died. I was like, okay, well, he's dead. I don't remember what they did with the other person I don't remember that character's name. It wasn't Firefly. It was just like another one. Um, oh, I think he died during the palace thing, and then the guy who got all the kicks and all the flipping and stuff, he got crushed. And I think the other flying character got crushed by some rubble as well, because his backpack got destroyed or something like that. So most of the villains in this kept dying, but it was all by accident. Like, there was never an intentional death. It was just like, I'm fighting to protect myself, and I beat you during our battle, and then you died because you got electrocuted, or the electrocution led to your head blowing up. Like Alfred killed two people in this one, which is funny. But everyone kept dying. I'm like, they just keep having a bunch of accidental deaths in this movie. It's really weird. But that was something I noticed. Like, especially during the Alfred thing, that's when I noticed it really, and I was like, everyone just keeps dying in this. Like, it's a bunch of unintentional deaths, and it just kept happening. But that was something that I thought was really funny. And I don't know if they did that on purpose, because they wanted to get rid of these characters permanently, or what. I don't know if it was supposed to just make it cooler because they officially died, even though no one was trying to do that. Everyone just kept dying. But that caught my attention for sure. I was like, they're all dead. Like, every villain in this, by the end of the movie, is supposed to be dead, because they do stop the ship from crashing. So like, Calculator could be alive. I guess that's possible. And I could be wrong about the other flying character, but I believe they did get hit by some rubble, and they fell off and died as well. Actually, yeah, because they were fighting Batwing, and that's how he killed the first person, because the rubble was falling. They got hit by rubble and got crushed. And then when he beat Firefly, he flew straight into the vent and got killed off. So they killed off some, lesser known characters. Firefly, I think, is fairly well known, so that's kind of a bigger kill. And of course, Talia, if she's officially dead, is kind of a huge kill if they're actually doing it that way. But it was something I definitely had to bring up, because I'm like, everybody's dead. All the villains, they don't even talk about it. It's just like every villain died in this whole thing. Damien, of course, had the funniest one, because he's like, damn. Like, oh well, I messed up. Like, I tried to save him, but damn. So that was a really funny scene too. But it was a fun movie. I certainly enjoyed it. If Talia is actually dead, that's like the biggest thing, because despite them killing off all these kind of really minor villains, Talia al Ghul, leader of the League of Assassins, is dead. That's a big deal. So I don't really know where they're going to take it, but I'm very curious to see if they follow that route, or if she is still alive and some crazy stuff happened for whatever reason. Her and the girl made up while the explosion was happening. It's like, we're both great fighters. I know I killed, my son clone thing that you clearly cared for. But we should totally just run the league together. Something crazy, I don't know. But I want to know what you guys thought about this movie. Like, spoiler wise, future wise, expectations for, do you guys think she's actually dead? Did they really destroy Talia al Ghul and get rid of the League of Assassins? Or do you guys think Nissa will actually make an appearance and she'll take over as the leader? Because if they do Talia, actually being dead, that is the perfect way to keep the League of Assassins. Just have Nissa come in, and I'd love to see how they did it. Because every time I've seen Nissa, she's actually been a pretty cool character. Like, Nissa in Arrow is actually pretty cool. Like, she followed the rule of her father and stuff, but she's also kind of doing her own thing and not in the most villain way. She's actually kind of okay. And then in Batman, when she showed up, she actually wanted to stop the League of Assassins and she wanted her father gone. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's like, it's all instant DLC anyway. It's not even in the actual game. You have to pay for it to get it, and it's honestly like 2 missions long. So trust me, it has like no real impact on anything that you could experience. It's like 2.5 seconds long. It's super short, but so far the versions of her that I've seen have been actually kind of cool. So I don't know. I'm pretty curious about that, but I definitely want to know what you guys think might happen in some of the future New 52 films. So far, it's all Batman stuff. So if they do another one, which of course they will, it might actually focus on the League of Assassins and Nissa coming into play and stuff like that, and how that will affect really the entire world. So I want to know what you guys thought about this movie, like the real spoiler stuff, like the characters and like Lucius's son being Batwing, and both Batgirls being in it. Especially the twist, kind of little surprise ending. I guess that was technically another little twist. It was just like, oh, I didn't think she'd even exist really in this, but we have all these Bat characters now, so they can't really skimp on us when they do the next Batman movie. I'm gonna be a little mad if it's like, oh no, Nightwing went back to Bloodhaven and everyone else went to a different city to protect. I'll be a little mad if they do that for the next movie. I want to see them really have a big team. If I mean, considering what they did, it might actually focus on Barbara Gordon as Batgirl though, because they kind of just, that was seemingly like their little tether to the next film, next after the Justice League Teen Titans one. But I don't know what you guys think is gonna happen. They seemingly killed off Talia al Ghul. That's a big deal with the League, and Nissa might not care, or she might be super pissed. So we kind of have to just wait and see what they do with it. But I do want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.